Makers. I'm Mombirella.
I'm Yukita Cosplay.
And I'm CJ Peterson. Welcome to Magic Making Mischief, our special edition today. We have comic artist Drew Edwards. Before we get there, get your wands to the ready because we solemnly swear we're
up to no good.
So we have special guest today as we're doing a special edition of Magic Making Mischief, Drew Edwards. Welcome, sir.
Howdy. Happy to be here.
So you are a comic writer. Is it for graphic novel or is it comic books? Let's start there.
I mean, comic books and graphic novels, in my opinion, there'll be people that disagree with me on this, but comic books and graphic novels are essentially the same thing. I think graphic novel is a term that has been adopted to make the form more literary sounding, and that's been greatly helpful in getting comic books into like proper bookstores, into libraries, things of that nature. Yep. So that's great. But if you were to ask me what I do for a living, I tell people I make comic books because I'm I guess unrefined and unpretentious that way.
I guess my understanding is that graphic novels are longer than comic books. That was my
Yeah,
I think they're a series, aren't they? Like, aren't they usually like a series of comic books made into a novel?
Jeremy says hello and welcome back, CJ. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Howdy. The idea of a graphic novel, I think a lot of that goes back to when DC Comics, slammed Watchmen together and started basically publishing that, over and over and over again because they could just sell it in paperback. So a lot of the times what people think of as a graphic novel is something that's a collection of something that was initially a series like Watchmen or Sandman or something of that nature. But there is stuff like Mouse, which is Pulitzer Prize winning, that was straight to that, paperback format. So there certainly is stuff that is created specifically to be a graphic novel. I don't know why the term makes me uncomfortable. There just seems to be something, and this could just be a self-esteem issue with me, mind you. But there's a literate quality to the term graphic novel, and I look, and I say this as an award-winning author. I don't feel like my stuff aspires to that. I'm not quite lowbrow, but I'm at least just like middle brow, I would think. I don't know that
you're this middle brow. You're not low. Yeah. You're not highbrow. You're not this brow right here. You're this one right here.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're the brow that I don't have. The middle brow right there. That's where you are.
Exactamundo.
Got it.
You got it. Yeah.
No, I'm wondering what my brows are.
Hello.
Howdy.
When did you start creating your comics?
So I first started making comics with my twin when I was very, very young. Like we pretty much, as soon as I got old enough to understand that when you would read the credits of a comic book, and the names in those credits, those were people being paid to make comic books. That's what I knew I wanted to do with my life. So my twin would draw them and I would write them. Sometimes I would ink them, but I was never very good at that. But we would come up with all these different characters, and I think the very first comic book that we made was actually just about Godzilla because we were both fascinated by Godzilla as a kid. But when I got to be a teenager, I started creating my own characters. And actually, my very first rudimentary attempt at doing a comic book series was a comic book called Jack Frost, which was about a vampire hunting snowman. And
That's a twist.
Yeah, and
Wow. Okay.
he had a monkey sidekick, and they would travel around fighting vampires, and it that that I was that's really where I learned to write comics, because up until then I would just write short stories that we'd somehow translate into it. But at that point, I started to understand that comic books are written in a script format, very much like a play. And I started to acquaint myself with the actual form and function of how comics are made. And I guess here we are, 30 years later, and I'm still doing it. I guess I've gotten better since I was, a teenager. Here's hoping.
I think you are.
I'm not going to get over the thought of a snowman vampire hunter with a monkey sidekick anytime soon.
So, like, I'm picturing Frosty and Abu from Aladdin. Like,
Sure.
that's what I'm picturing.
Sure. I don't know why I wanted to do a snow. I think the idea of, like, snowmen have, like, often wooden arms. So I was thinking he could just stab the vampires in the heart.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It would be a
They would
tremendous
be like
flavor.
Ultimate nemesis for vampires is the snowman. Oh my god.
New script. We need Olaf and Abu versus Van Helsing. Let's go.
Wait, Van Helsing is a vampire hunter. Hold on, wait.
All the vampires go to where it's warm because that's where they're safe.
I'm very interested in seeing that particular version now. I want Olaf and Abu to go.
But
and
Olaf
fight
has
the
his
vampire.
own floating. Olaf has his own floating flurry, so he can go to warm temperatures.
So he can go
would
everywhere.
be the ultimate nemesis.
And Abu is just like a shitey little thief.
We could
sounds like a
sounds
sci-fi.
like a sci-fi.
For real, right?
Geek Cred Trivia did this trivia thing where it was movies that don't sound real, and this sounds like one of this is going to end up in his list of movies now. Okay,
watch it though, just because it's so out of the ordinary.
I would totally watch that movie. Oh my god!
I would read the comic.
Oh
Comics,
my gosh!
The books are always better than the movies. Fight me.
No,
oh my gosh.
Right.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay, sorry. Off of snowmen, but vampire hunters. Okay.
Snowman Van Helsing, but like make it Frosty. I'm done.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you just broke us. Okay.
I'm still stuck with Olaf and Abu.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. Okay. We can't have this moment. All right. That is an awesome start. Okay, so from that epic start, where did you go from there?
So once I graduated from high school, I fell in with I moved to Dallas from my hometown in the Possum Kingdom area, which is very rural. So I moved to Dallas. Possum Kingdom. It's a lake. It's real. Look it up.
There's a movie named that. I don't remember what it was.
There's a Toady song named after it.
Yeah.
But when I moved to Dallas, I immediately started hanging out at my local comic book store until I met this guy Malcolm Harris, who had his own comic book company. So what would Olaf's song? Do you want to kill a vampire?
No, he knows we will go on tangents. Do not start this.
And
my hands will be stakes. But no.
Cease and desist. Continue, Drew. Our apologies.
It's okay. That's why I did it. So
God,
he had a game that he was trying to put together called Nemesis, which is going to be a superhero game. And since I was the guy that was into monsters and stuff, he was like, "You come up with a supernatural character." So I, being in my, barely out of high school, still being a teenager, I drove around my neighborhood in Dallas, like in a circles, just trying to get inspiration. And I was really into this band, The Misfits, and they had this song Halloween, and I was just listening to that over and over and over again. And suddenly I was like, Halloween, man. And then from there I was like, okay, Batman has a big bat, Superman has a big S. Halloween Man would have a big pumpkin. Okay, so what does Halloween Man do? I said, well, he is a monster, but he eats the other monsters because he has to keep them in check. And he has the power of the horror movie sequel. He always comes back. So I started kind of reverse engineering all the stuff. I started reverse engineering all the stuff, all the monster movie stuff that I had absorbed over the years, but into superhero stuff, because oddly enough, the line between monsters and superheroes, it's not as it's not as big of a divide as you would think. And since I always liked the monsters, I would watch movies like Creature from the Black Lagoon and King Kong, and at the end of the movie, the monster was always killed, and I would feel bad. I was like, I want to tell a story where the monster gets the girl, and the monster is the good guy. So essentially what I am telling is kind of a Beauty and the Beast story. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in it, but it's a Beauty and the Beast story where the Beast never turns back into a prince. He stays a monster, and Lucy, Halloween Man's girlfriend, she's into that, and they have weird adventures. They fight everything from vegetarian vampires, space wars,
vegetarian like Twilight
vampires.
style vampires, or
no, they're literally fruit bat vampires. So
I wasn't expecting that. Oh, sorry guys.
You explain this to me, honestly.
So how did I end up with vegetarian vampires? So
yes, please.
I just, as previously noted, I watch a lot of vintage horror movies, and when you watch a lot of old vampire movies, what you often see is they use flying foxes to the sub in for the vampire bats, because they're bigger and scarier looking, even though they're fruit bats. And real vampire bats are actually kind of small and cute. And so I was like, I want to make that into a monster. And that's how we ended up with the terrible fruit bats. Because once you take away the need for sucking blood, they have much more time for world domination, which is, really what it's all about.
So they're more evil in essence than actual just predators.
Exactly. Yeah. Because now they're
giving
just...
my gosh. I love the way your mind works.
It's giving
Drew.
minions, because they're like...
Wait, minion like banana, like minions. Sorry.
I just pictured Dave the Minion with bat wings. I don't know why. ADHD brains are weird. Okay.
It's okay. We've done a lot of variation on vampires. We've even had a Valentine's Day special from a few years ago where they fight vampire dinosaurs as well. I like vampire dinosaurs. I like taking classic monsters and twisting them. In case you haven't picked up on that.
Oh my gosh.
I like it. You are so creative.
Wow. Seriously. Okay. I am a huge classic monsters fan. Like, that is my gig right there.
And vampires are her thing.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And so, you're kind of blowing my mind with some of this. I love it, though. It's awesome. Funny thing, Geek Cred Trivia, I was talking about the movies that didn't seem real thing. One of the ones he talked about was cars that were vampires. What was it called? Vampires. Vampires. Oh my gosh. And it was real. It's a real series that they made. Like, one season of this series.
True.
So.
Let's make that happen. I'd like to meet you as well.
I can see cool, this would be a good connection here.
At a Chemical Toy Fair, he's super cool. He was one of the best booth neighbors I had.
Well, actually, since we're talking about that, Drew, where are you going to be at in the next few months?
Oh, well, so we are in October, and as the creator of Halloween Man, that is my busiest time of year. Just this week, I will be at Lazarus Brewing Company on Wednesday evening, the 16th. I am going to be hosting a double feature, a spooky double feature with the original Clue and the original Scream back to back. I will be there selling comic books. That is free to the public. Over the weekend, right here in Austin, Texas, I will be at the Texas Zine Fest for underground art and comic books. That is going to be at the Blue Genie Art Bazaar here in Austin. And the 26th and the 27th, I'm going to be at Phantom Fest, which is a yearly pop-up Halloween festival that we have here in Austin. And this year they're going to be at Sagebrush, and I am going to be part of their vendors market. Fast forward to December, the 7th through the 9th, I am going to be back at my yearly capper for conventions, which is Horror for the Holidays, put on by Blood Over Texas, which is a really fun mashup of spooky and Christmas. They have a Krampus fair and all sorts of fun things for those of us who like our Halloween to go a little long.
Spooky season all year round. Yes.
Spooky season all year round. Yeah. So it's going to be a nice few months. I'm taking, since my wife and I just had our first child, I'm taking November off from conventions. But yeah, I'm just going to.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, now back to the show. Go on.
I forget where I was going. Oh, speaking of cars that are also things, not for nothing, this is a ways off, but I am actually working on a comic with my buddy Russell Hillman called Great White Blacktop, which is about a car that's also a shark. So keep your eyes peeled to my social media for that. But more directly...
Wait. Hold on, sorry. Was that a car that's also a shark?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, double check.
In 2025?
That is going to be 2026. That is still very much in the planning phases. I have a few things that are coming out more soon, including a new Halloween Man comic, which is coming out on the Global Comics digital platform towards the end of the month. Speaking of classic monsters being turned on their head, this one is called Phantom of the Opry, and it is a gothic chiller set to the tune of country music. Because as a Texas boy, I always wanted to put a cowboy hat on the Phantom of the Opera. So this is my chance. Apologies to Lon Chaney Sr. and Andrew Lloyd Webber for what I'm about to do. But that one is going to be a digital comic, at least initially, but it will be free on the platform for about a month. So you can enjoy that for the rest of the Halloween season and into November. We just also crowdfunded a cosmic Halloween Man story called Entropy on Indiegogo. The Indiegogo is still active, even though the campaign is still open and or over. So if any of this stuff sounds interesting to you and you want to order some physical Halloween Man comics, that's actually probably the best way to do it right now, because that's sort of functioning as our online store at the moment. Now, you mentioned 2025. Away from the universe of Halloween Man, I am collaborating with a co-writer, David Bowles, who is a genius young adult author and professor at the University of Guadalupe. We are doing a slasher series through the Australian publisher IPI. This is going to be a comic book series called The Matron. It is quite a bit more serious than a lot of the other stuff that we're talking about. But we're breaking the slasher glass ceiling, because our slasher, the difference between her and all the other horror movie killers is that she is an elderly woman. So this is your grandmother if she was a cannibalistic serial killer. So and that story is actually going to take place during the blizzard that Texas had from a few years ago. I also like writing about Texas a lot, because I feel like Texas it's a big epic state with a lot of atmosphere and a lot of mythology to tap into. So I think
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So Geek Creds is kind of like arsenic or old lace. I was like thinking more like Granny Goes Psychotic, but
it actually began life as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre comic book pitch, but long story short, it evolved into being kind of its own thing. But it started out as a pitch called The Last Days of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was going to be about an elderly Leatherface. It didn't end up getting made for various reasons, but I always liked the idea of what would happen to the family from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre when the wide open spaces of Texas weren't necessarily so wide and open anymore. Like, what happens when a Starbucks moves in next to their dilapidated mansion? And that evolved into this new thing that because the idea, the bones of the story were solid. And so I when I was talking to David about it, he was like, well, you should just change the main monster out and make up something new, but keep the general structure of it. And that's kind of what we've done. It's evolved, and I think it's going to be actually better, because David, being a big folklore guy, he's looked into all this like Czech and Slavic folklore that we've now added into it, and it's become this really cool thing. And I can't wait for everybody to see it, which is why I'm plugging it so far in advance.
Dude,
interesting. Though I'm not sure I'd put it past my grandmother when she was anyway.
much.
She was an interesting lady. Sorry.
I thought my brain was messed up. But I'm kind of known as a literary assassin in the author world, but yours is kind of
that's true. No character. I feel safe with no character in her stories, though. I must admit, like
mine is like the NCIS, no character is safe, but yours is a whole other level.
I really want to know what these characters look like, because what my brain is picturing is probably either completely the opposite of what it's supposed to look like, or like the what was it, the one that I got stuck on for a solid 2 minutes while you were talking.
I saw that face. I was wondering, was it the car shark? Was it the shark car?
It was a shark car.
I'll send you some art. How about that?
I'm imagining,
okay.
Yeah, because
I'm imagining the sweet little granny from Tom and Jerry with a little walker.
Yeah.
And she goes psychotic.
And she's like, let me just bust out my chainsaw real quick.
Well, everyone will just have to wait and see on both of those characters. But is in the first Friday the 13th, Jason's mom was the murderer. Yes.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert on that.
If they don't know by now, they need to figure it out.
Right.
What's going to happen after Grandma got ran over? That's what happened after Grandma.
Yep.
Oh my god.
To catch people up on this, for those who are listening, you're not catching all of it. Geek Cred said in the first Friday the 13th, Jason's mom was the murderer. And then Jeremy said that's what happens when Grandma got ran over by the reindeer.
Grandma got ran over by a reindeer.
Oh, no. Christmas songs, and it's not Halloween yet.
I mean,
No.
it's Halloween. It's Halloween. That's all I know. I think
So-
that's the only Halloween song.
Spooky,
There really
scary
isn't.
skeletons.
Oh.
Shivers down
There
my
you go.
spine.
There you go.
5 minutes left. If you wanted to give somebody advice who wanted to start their own comic, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say just start making comics. You know, like the industry is very gatekeepery, unfortunately. So the best thing you can do if you have a vision, if you're just a writer like me, find yourself an artist, team up with them, you know, start writing scripts. The best thing you can do to break into the comic book industry is just make your own comics. Just do it. The gateway to actually putting out a comic book has never been easier because there's so many digital platforms. There's stuff like Webtoons, there's Comixology, there's, you know, my own home of Global Comics. If you can put something out, you can develop an audience. You know, just practice non-judgmental writing. Don't sit there and be overly critical of yourself. Just do it. That's how I did it. And you know, here I am making a career for myself several decades later. So just believe in yourself and the rest will follow. I hope that doesn't sound too Pollyanna-ish, but you know, I legitimately mean it. You know, I think that comics are the best way on earth to tell a story, and you know, everybody should try and make comic books if they have the desire.
Very cool. Mombi, were
And
you
definitely make weird ones. The weirder, the better, because you
Yes.
catch attention very well.
Thank you.
Especially if you make ones that look like a jack-o'-lantern man and his extra hot wife.
Geek Cred said that regarding, I'm assuming, the granny, the psychotic grandma, said that would make a good horror movie.
Here's hoping.
There you go.
With that Hollywood money.
Definitely.
Oh, he also did a crossover, and that was really cool. So one of the cosplays that I do is Cassie Hack, which is the slasher killer.
Yeah.
And when we first met at Chemical Toy Fair, that was one of the crossovers he had was Halloween Man and Cassie Hack. And so I had to get it.
There
It
you
is
go.
safely tucked away in my comic book box.
You should definitely guard that, because from what I understand, those are valuable.
Yes.
Even though I have a box of them in the back of my apartment.
They're safely tucked away.
Good.
For those who want to learn more about Drew, you can check out his Instagram, and you can find them under Drew_Halloween. That's DREW_Halloween, which, for those who can't spell that, is, let it scroll by, HALLOWEEN. So check him out on Instagram. Tonight was a special edition. Tomorrow, under our regularly scheduled, we're going to have BFG cosplay. So we're going to have him tomorrow night at our regular scheduled time at 7 o'clock. So don't miss it. Mombi, thank you so much, Drew, for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
I'm so glad we finally got to have you. I'm so excited.
Mombi?
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit that like and subscribe to CJ Peterson on YouTube, Mommy Rella on YouTube, and of course, Yukita Cosplay on Instagrams.
And also Drew on Instagrams.
Yes, definitely. His baby's adorable, by the way. I just gotta say.
Yes.
I've had one that little in a while. So. And we have NerdCon coming up in November. I was trying to remember what the next event was.
Is NerdCon. Come and see me and Mombi.
And Mombi, you were going to mention a cosplay contest.
Oh, yes. Yes. Legendary Supplements has a cosplay contest going on right now, guys. It ends in a couple of days. You enter online. All the details are on my Facebook and Instagram. If y'all are interested, the prizes are pretty stinking awesome, including a PS5. So get on there, drop your photos, and you'll DM them to their Instagram to enter. So check out the details. And all levels of cosplay are welcome, 18 and up, any level of costuming and cosplay. So y'all join in. Till next time, thanks for joining us, guys. Mischief managed. Bye.